In this video, I want to talk about 5 habits men have that make them appear weak in the eyes of women. Of course, I'm not talking about physical weakness, I'm talking about emotional and moral weakness. First, let me try to describe the kind of man who's burdened with these habits. If you have these habits, it means you're easy to control. On many issues, you don't have your own opinion, just one that's been imposed on you. You also lack a sense of responsibility for your own life. That's because the vast majority of your actions are driven by emotion, not by a rational or thoughtful approach. Now let's take a closer look at these specific habits. The first habit is falling for a woman's manipulation. Right now, I won't get into whether the manipulation is intentional or not. That's not really the point here. For the purpose of this discussion, it doesn't matter all that much. Let me give you an example. A man with this habit immediately reacts to a woman's tears. Say he did something she didn't approve of. Maybe he forgot an important occasion because he was overwhelmed with work and didn't get her a gift. Or maybe there was some kind of disagreement between them. There are plenty of situations that can lead to tears. And the moment that happens, our guy rushes to comfort her. And often, it's not just about comforting her. He also starts trying to appease her with something. Before you know it, he's apologizing, admitting fault, agreeing to everything, and ready to do whatever it takes. If this happens a few times, the woman realizes that tears are an effective way to manipulate him. What's more, the man might even be aware that he's being manipulated, but he still falls for it. That's how deeply ingrained this habit is. The second habit is trying to appear better than you really are. To some extent, everyone cares about how others see them, especially when it comes to someone they're attracted to, but often the desire to look better crosses the line into something unreasonable. For example, you might say you work at a major company, but conveniently leave out the fact that you're in a regular entry-level position far from any leadership role. Or you might not just omit things, you might flat out say things that aren't true. This kind of excessive dependence on other people's opinions, combined with sweet little lies, tends to attract a certain type of woman, the kind you can't really build a future with. The next habit is chasing after a woman. A lot of female bloggers preach that courtship should take a long time. I've even heard numbers like 6 months being thrown around. And some men accept that as the way things are. They don't really try to speed things up, but it's pretty clear why this benefits women. The more time, effort, and money you invest in her, the more valuable she seems in your eyes. But as you can guess, this kind of behavior doesn't work in a man's favor. On top of that, there's a good chance he'll end up in the friend zone. The fourth habit that makes a man look weak in the eyes of women is putting her above himself. In other words, believing from the start that your value is lower than hers, that you need the relationship more than she does. At the root of this mindset is low self-esteem. A man like this might forgive betrayal more than once even, or he might just turn a blind eye to it. She might get away with all kinds of unacceptable behavior, without any real risk of being left. And it's all because he believes he couldn't possibly find anyone better. Even the thought of her leaving causes him anxiety. This is a clear sign of psychological dependence on a particular woman. And in this case, the only real solution is to work on your self-esteem. The next habit shows up in the early stages of interaction. It's common among men who are afraid of practically everything related to dealing with women. Let me clarify, I'm not talking about normal nervousness. I'm talking about real fear. When he hasn't met her yet, he's terrified to approach her. If he somehow manages to introduce himself, then he's afraid to ask her out. If he does ask her out, he's scared to make any kind of physical move. And so on down the line. Many men go through this phase in their teenage years, and by adulthood, they've had at least some experience that helps them stay calm around women. But not everyone gets that experience in time. You can still meet guys in their mid-30s who've been on dozens of dates, and the most physical contact they've had is holding her hand. In the end, these habits, falling for manipulation, pretending to be someone you're not, chasing women endlessly, putting them above yourself, and being paralyzed by fear, don't just make a man seem weak in the eyes of women. They also reflect deeper issues like low self-esteem and lack of self-awareness. Breaking free from these patterns isn't easy, but it's essential for building healthier, more balanced relationships and for becoming a stronger, more confident version of yourself.